In this video, I want to teach you how to set up your taxes settings, which is really easy. You're going to be able to do it very quickly. You may not even have to edit anything because the default settings are very close to what my settings already looks like. So to get to the taxes settings, you're going to click settings at the bottom left here, which will bring you to this page. Then you're going to click taxes right here, which will bring you to the taxes settings. Before you do that, however, go to your general settings and make sure you have a correct address in there. So for example, I live in California within the United States, so my address is California in the United States. Right? Then go to your taxes settings. The reason I want you to set your address correctly is because taxes are calculated based on where you live. So I'm going to click taxes now, and it's going to bring me to this page. Okay? So for the most part, these are your default settings. Please keep in mind that I live in the United States, so my taxes page looks like this. If you live in a different country, for example, if you live in Mexico or you live in, say, somewhere in Europe, then your page may look very different than mine. But for the most part, I think it should be, the guidelines and concepts here should still apply to you. So let's take a dive in. So you got tax regions and tax calculations. The regions here are the regions for which you would tax if someone from that region came to your store and bought an item. So I'm in the US, let's say I sell t-shirts, and someone else from the US comes to my store and buys one of my t-shirts. Because they're in the United States, I would collect taxes when they buy that one product. You'll notice here that says the rest of the world, meaning everywhere outside of the United States. And it says not collecting. So generally my settings do look like this. I want to point out that for most countries, if you sell products, you're going to have to pay taxes in some form. In the US, it's very common for someone to buy a product online and then have taxes added to that product when they check out. The reason I don't collect taxes from people in other parts of the world is because I sell to a lot of people from all sorts of different countries, and I don't know the culture for each country I sell to. Some countries, they don't pay taxes on the products they buy. So I don't want to collect taxes from everybody, because if I collect taxes from someone that's from a country where they don't generally pay taxes on products they buy online, they may be very upset, and I don't want to upset any of my customers. So for the sake of not upsetting any of my customers, I simply don't collect taxes from any other countries. But I do collect taxes from people from the United States. You may be wondering, well, doesn't that mean you'll be losing money at the end of the year when I file my taxes? Yes and no. Although I don't collect taxes from the rest of the world, I set my prices, my profit margins large enough and high enough so that I make such a large revenue on each product I sell that when I go to pay my taxes at the end of the year, I will have enough revenue to pay for those taxes and still make a profit. So if you're worried about making a profit and not collecting taxes, just make your price large enough to incorporate any taxes you'll have to pay back later to your government. Okay? Tax calculations. So earlier I said to make sure to set your pricing in the general settings. Set your address correctly in the general settings. And that's because tax calculations are based off where you live. Okay? So there's a couple options you can choose here. I don't check any of these things. The first one is show all prices with tax included. What does that mean? This means that taxes are included in the prices when someone visits your online store. I never ever include the taxes in my prices because in the United States, that is not common practice. Generally, if you have an online business and let's say I sell t-shirts and I sell each t-shirt for $10 exactly, if someone were to come to my store and they saw the shirt for $10 and they put it in their shopping cart and they went to go check it out and taxes were then added on top of that $10, that customer would not be upset because in the United States, that is very common for taxes to be added on when you go to check out online. So it is very common in the United States to not include taxes in the visible prices of your store. Taxes are always added when you check out later. Charge tax on shipping rates. Because we're drop shipping, I don't charge tax on shipping rates because, you know, we're drop shipping. We don't have to package up the product. We're not responsible for shipping. Someone else is going to drop ship that product to the customer for us. And we've already set profit margins and prices that incorporate that shipping. So I'm not really worried about taxing my customers for shipping rates. The less you tax your customers, I feel the more happy they will be. Because they're not going to get any price that's unexpected. The price that they see online will be close to the price that they will see when they check out. And I think that's a good thing, and it makes your customers happy. And then this last one you can ignore because this is more for digital products, and we're not selling digital products. So like I mentioned, for the rest of the world, I do not collect taxes from them, so I just leave this as it is. For the United States customers, I do collect taxes from United States customers. I'm going to click edit to go a little bit further just to show you, but you don't really have to do anything in here. Shopify already calculates taxes automatically, and they calculate it based on the address which you set up in the general settings, which I mentioned a couple times already. I put my address here as California, and you'll see that the state California shows up here because this is where I live, and my taxes are going to be calculated based on the fact that I live in California. If I lived in New York, which is a different state in the United States, then my taxes would be very different. Because in the United States, each state, California, New York, Florida, they all have separate federal. They all have separate. They all have separate state taxes. So in California, I guess the state tax is 7.25%. So I just wanted to point that out. But that's pretty much it. It's very, very straightforward. You'll notice that I didn't really edit anything. If I wanted to, I could add a tax for the rest of the world customers, but I'm not going to do that because, again, I don't know if it's common to tax people from every single country because I have not lived in every single country, so I don't know what the expectations are. So I'm just going to leave it as is. You could even remove taxes from the United States if you wanted to make your customers even happier, but I think it's pretty common in the US to pay for your taxes when you buy a product online. So I would just leave that and not worry about it. And there you go. Now that you're charging taxes, at least in parts of the world, you're going to use that tax money to help pay off taxes at the end of the year, and it's going to help you a lot. All right, guys, I hope that was useful. I'll see you on the next video. I almost forgot to mention, another reason I'm not really worried about collecting taxes from the rest of the world is because most of my marketing channels, so for example, my Facebook advertising, they're all directed at the United States. Generally, I market to United States customers. The reason I do that, and I'll get more to that during the marketing section. The reason I do that is because I'm from the United States and I understand the culture in the United States. I can create a really good advertisement for United States customers because I understand them better than someone from another country, let's say Mexico. So because majority of my customers, not all of them, but the majority of my customers are from the United States, I'm going to collect taxes from them. So I actually collect taxes from the majority of my customers because I market to United States customers, and United States customers are the customer base that I collect from. However, because a lot of my Facebook advertising goes viral sometimes, and whenever you have an ad that goes viral, you may get other Facebook users from other countries that see your ad. So sometimes I do have customers from the rest of the world. I would say I actually still have a good amount, but I'm not really worried about collecting taxes from them, again, because I don't understand the culture and I don't want to upset them by collecting taxes. And number two, they only represent a minority of the customers that come to my store. So at the end of the day, I still collect taxes from the majority of my customers, and I don't collect taxes from a minority subset of my customers. So all in all, when I go to pay taxes at the end of the year, I should have a good amount of extra change from the taxes I've collected from U.S. customers to pay off those taxes at the end of the year. So if you want to collect taxes, from the majority of your customers, just target your advertisements and your marketing to whatever countries you are set up to collect taxes from, and you will have a good amount of extra revenue to pay off the taxes at the end of the year. All right, I hope that made sense. I'll see you guys on the next video.